What's going on, everybody? This OG Rod. Welcome to the Dawgs Only podcast. Got a pleasure to sit by some fellow OGs. You know, myself, I got Joel right here, got Shelby, Big Q, and then Jordan Hicks joining me today to talk about what it means to be a father. What's going on? We got to start our episode off the right way. We got to do some check-ins. How everybody doing?
Good, man. I'm good. Just, season getting rolling now. We're ready for the regular season, so all that stuff's in the past, and get to play some real football now.
No, I'm doing straight.
Ain't sound believable.
No, it's just like my 5-year-old just started kindergarten, so I'm mentally just like broken down.
Okay.
But I'm doing good though.
That's love.
Same. Football season rolling back in, especially now. It's live bullets, trying to lock in. My oldest daughter actually is back in Seattle today, starting her first day of 8th grade, and it's gonna be my first season away from her, so it's gonna be, a weird dynamic and seeing how that works out. But alive and blessed.
Yeah, man. We're good, man. I'm settling in. Family's here. Kids are off to school. Today was actually they're at the school right now for orientation right now. So, yeah, life's moving, man. But football's good. Life's good. Feels good. Yeah, man.
Man, I gotta start things off with Shelby. We just finished camp, right? And we know this time of year what this means for a lot of us. Some people it's our season continues. For others, unfortunately, that'll be the last time, right? And you pushed out a tweet saying it's truly a blessing to make the 53. Never have taken it for granted. I remember the years I was wishing for this. So can you enlighten us a little bit on, what that tweet and what is making this 53-man roster again, right? This is year number
11.
Man, what does that mean?
Man, it's just during this time you see some people never recover from this. It's a time where either it's make or break, and then some people break and then they never make a team ever again. And I remember my first couple years, I made the 53 my first year, and then the next 2 years I got cut. And I'm talking about, I remember they used to come up with that graphic, on my 53, and it would break my heart because I wasn't on it. And I just remember, so I remember those days. And that's why, that's kind of what those tweets are for, it's just also to, appreciate it, but then to tell the people that haven't made it, things can change. Because from year 2 and 3 to 11, obviously we're still kicking. And it's just, it's truly a blessing every year to make it because, you have to be the best of the best. And sometimes, you could feel like you had a great preseason and it still doesn't come together. And so you just got to keep on trucking, keep on kicking because this league is, it works in mysterious ways. And you just have to keep the faith and keep going.
Yeah, no, that's real. For you guys, we got 9, 10, 12, 11. Oh, my bad. Let me put it again. How does, for you guys, right, you just finished – camp as well. Does it feel the same as it did in year one? Like that level of appreciation and gratitude? How's it feel for you guys?
Yeah, it's always a blessing. Anytime you can make the team, it's definitely different. Your first few years, I feel like there's such a filling out process of what's happening. You don't understand. I remember my first camp, we had 15 O-line guys. I think we cut 9 of them. We kept 6 guys from the original, and we signed a few guys off other teams, but you didn't realize, oh my gosh, this is real world stuff. Guys lose their jobs now. It's not college where you can kind of stick around for a few years and build that development. So it was a shock. So you get a little bit more used to that. But this week is never easy because you see guys that have put in the time, have put in the work, and they're just we don't have a spot, And so I think what Shelby said and just keeping these guys motivated and being hey, if you make the practice squad, if you are still in this league, it's impressive stuff. So, it's definitely different from that point, but I try and be more of a mentor and be hey, you put in the work. Teams are going to respect that and see that. And, you should be truly proud of what you've done to some of those guys that are, getting released and signing with other teams.
Yeah. You want to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think on the flip side, it's really cool to see those rooks and those second-year dudes or guys who haven't made the team yet before actually do it. Right, and to pour into them and let them know, bro, you just accomplished something that's off the chain, right? So I think that's a humbling experience for me. Every time I see a dude do it for the first time, it takes me back to that moment of You know, I was drafted 3rd round to Philly, but like there were moments we had a stacked linebacker room. I didn't know where my position was going to be, if I was going to get that call or not. You know, and so it takes me back to that time and really helps me appreciate every single year that you make that 53.
No doubt. Like everybody said, like I know we're a little older, you know, so every year we make it, I feel like it's a blessing because you know how it is. Like literally every year they're trying to replace you.
Yeah, you hear me?
You know, you're in there
Right.
competing
Swear
with
to you.
these. You know, a guy just turned 21 in our room. I'm like,
Crazy.
you know, it's crazy. You know, to even wrap your head around it, and it's
My
a
oldest
blessing.
daughter's
I'm like,
17.
we're still able to go out here and compete with these young men, you know, because it is a young man's game. And a lot of younger guys, seen some guys in the locker room yesterday and I had to remind them, like, yeah, you made the 53, but, like, don't take a minute to really relax because I'm like, the work has just begun, you know. It's a week-to-week league, you know. One bad game, you can be free agent that next week, you know. So it's like you got to come with it week in and week out, and the work still need to be done, you know.
Man,
it's not the end.
That's crazy because my oldest daughter is 17.
Yeah.
And so, like, we got somebody to turn 21, and then my oldest daughter is 17.
That's insane. It's
Put things
insane.
in perspective. Like I know I shoot in the locker room now. I feel myself, you know, on the outside looking in a lot of conversations, music selections. I know all you guys can definitely relate. But nah, I mean, you got to take great pride in keeping that seat, man. You know, because it's hard to do. We know how this league works every single year. You know, there's a circle of guys that they're looking to replace. You know what I'm saying, to take over, and so it. Much respect to each one of y'all, man, for keeping that seat for as long as you guys have and holding it down. Yeah, we're gonna have flip the script real quick. You know, now obviously we just finished training camp, so you guys excited about the season ahead?
Yeah, man. You know, we get to play football, and we
Bruh.
get to get paid for it.
Bruh.
And, like, truly,
That's
like,
not what I'm talking about, bruh. That's not. I'm really disappointed in you.
the season?
Yeah. It's the season of fatherhood. Man, that training camp is over, bruh. Training camp is over. You feel me? Them long hours, it's time to put in clocking that work. You talking about you took your girl to your daughter to school this morning. It's time. It's that
Man,
time.
you know, it's just like that. But also the same thing with Q, though. Like, my oldest daughter's in Denver. And, you know, so ever since I got traded to Seattle and then we came here, like, she was in high school. So I don't believe in, especially a girl, I don't believe in moving your kids in high school. You got to, like, let them be where they're settled at.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially mental health. You know, we always talk about mental health and stuff. And with kids and everything nowadays, you want them to be as comfortable as they can be. And so my oldest stays in Denver because my in-laws, blessed enough, they moved to Denver into our neighborhood. And so she just goes with them, you know, so we're lucky with that. But then all the other ones are with us. But it's, yeah, man, it's going too fast. It's going too fast. Like, I was literally just looking at pictures of my 5-year-old when she was like 1, and now she's already going to kindergarten. And the thing I was telling Q yesterday, I was like, you know, now you have to, you know, deal with other people's parenting. You know what I mean? Because you, like, before they go to school, it's you. And then when they go to school, they have to deal with other people's parenting, and that's when you get the bullying issues, you get, you know, all these different issues, and that's what I get worried about because, you know, obviously, like, you ride for yours, but then, you know, it's just how do you deal with those moments when they come home crying when, you know, somebody called them this or, you know, somebody tried to push, like, you know, somebody trying to bully them. You know, this is where, you know, you really got to shine as a parent.
Yeah. No, I mean, this, you know, for you guys, this is definitely a elite group of athletes, right? Like, you guys have a lot of awards and accolades behind, you know, each of your names. But I think it hits different when you can say you're an elite dad.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a new father, you know, I look up to you guys and salute you, you know, just in our conversations and seeing how you go about your day-to-day and how you've been able to wear that hat of being a dad for so long throughout the NFL. You know, it's very challenging, I believe, but it's also rewarding in the same breath. You know, recently for me on my journey, I've been reading this book called A Kingdom Man, as I approach like fatherhood. And it talks about, how God created us as men to lead, and lead in not more of a dominant or controlling manner, but lead to inspire wisdom into others, right? And then we've also seen how the evolution of fatherhood has shifted over years, right? At one point in time, a dad was just a disciplinarian, financial stability, a provider, somebody that was, very masculine and just, and maybe even say his role was just to sleep, right? Like that's it. But now it's kind of shifted. Like we now co-parent equally with our spouse, and we're emotionally available for our kids. You talk about taking your kids to school. You talk about, helping them through a difficult time, or even that moment when you walk out that practice field, you're holding their hand, right? So for you guys sitting here today, what does being a father mean to each of you?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
A father to me is, like you said, somebody's just present. It might have been like a point in time, like you said, where it was you're just financially you're the breadwinner. But now it's a little more layered, especially now just our kids, the day and age you're growing up with, dealing with, like, they're exposed to a lot of things early, whether it's social media, YouTube and everything. It's kind of influencing them and just influencing their self-esteem, whatever. So I feel like now we definitely have to just be a little more emotionally present. I take pride in my son. He's 6 years old, and he's able to tell me how he feels and speak to me like about his emotions. Because I know when I was 6, it might have even took me to like a few years ago to really be able to emotionally respond and tell somebody how I'm feeling. And it's just a different time. I'm dealing with. I got 3 black young girls, and they're exposed to YouTube and seeing things on YouTube, and really just trying to warp their minds and let them know that they're beautiful and being confident and instill confidence in themselves, because they're trying to measure themselves against some stuff they see on YouTube or Instagram or something, and trying to tell them like you're enough and everything. It's a lot layered, like you said. And I know this game is demanding and it's a lot of strain on us, but it's one of those, like, I know I can't take work home, and then even though it's a long day here, it doesn't matter. Like when I get home, when I step in that door, it's the job's not done. It's second job, being a dad, being present, putting my phone down. I think we were all discussing, I think before, was that yesterday or the day before? Just talking about like being present. You get home, put your phone down, give my wife that time, give my kids that time, because it's nonstop. And like I said, like it doesn't matter about how much money you bring in if at the end of the day, like I said, you're just not there for your kids. Even off season, I try to prolong it. I'm like, man, I want to be at my son's games and coaching them and the flag football and being at my daughter's games, like being there. Like that's what really matters. It's not really about the financial part, like just being there, showing them that they matter. What they're doing is just as important as Sundays, because it is at the end of the day. You're building the next generation. You got to pour into them. Like I said, not just financially, just the emotional part is just as important.
Yeah, I think we all can agree that like going home and family life and having stability at home is probably, like, I wouldn't be able to go out on the football field and perform the way I want to perform if at home I know I'm not doing what I need to do, right? And to me, like, parenting, being a dad, being a good husband, like, those things are more important than what's happening on the football field, right? Because that's gonna fade. Season's gonna come and go. Career's gonna come and go. But at the end of the day, your family's what will hold you down. That's gonna be there forever, right? And so, like, being a dad to me, I didn't grow up with a present dad. My dad, my mom and dad split early, so like I never had that manly figure in my life to be a sounding board, to be physically that emotional support. Like little boys, like they need that physicality from their dad. Didn't necessarily have somebody to hit up, be like, hey, like, what you think about this? Boom, 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 right? That's those things that I feel like I missed out on. I want to be that for my children, right? I want to be somebody who brings awareness, like Q said, to their emotions, to like what they're going through and like what they're feeling and how to navigate what's going on in their head. One of the big things I'm doing right now is just trying to help them control their emotions. Like, I feel like if you can't control what's going on in your own mind, if you can't control what's going on in your own heart, right, and talk to yourself and get yourself to a place of positivity and negative areas, like, you can't control anything in the world. You got to control yourself first, right? And so, like, I'm trying to bring awareness to that, even at, 5 and 6, like, little guys, they just are all over the place, right? It's like, bro, you got to, if you can control yourself, you can control anything in this world. So, like, just understanding and helping them through tough times. And, I think you brought up a good point. You can't do anything if you're not present, right? And so being present, even in understanding that, like, we got to go to work every day. When your kids come up to you and ask, like, where you going? Got to go to work, every single day. It's tough to leave, but, like, that's when you get home, it's how do you maximize that time you have with them to the fullest. So, yeah, man, I think we all know it's a lot of layers, but, like, that you hit it on the head. You got to be there.
They've both explained it really well. It's truly being, like, for me, a role model. I just want to show my kids. I got 3 kids. My daughter just started kindergarten as well this week. But just be a role model. Like, this is how you treat your mom. For me, my wife, and like, this is how you treat women. This is how you treat your brother and sister. Like, I just want to be a good presence for them. Play with them, have fun with them, but just be there. Have them understand, like, you can come to me for anything, but it's still confidence in your kids. Like, there's so much bad stuff bringing down in the world. Like, we can be a positive influence. We can bring, confidence into them. And for me, it was crazy having kids, how the perspective switched. I used to, football, I mean, it's still, a huge part of my life, but, first 5 years in the league when I didn't have kids, I was like, all right, football, I come home, I do football. But now it's, once I'm done here, like, I go home, like, it's kids' time, it's family time. They don't care if we won or lost. Like, they don't care. They just want to rest. Like, Dad, can we play tackle? It's like, we can play tackle. Like, I'm hurting a little bit, but we can play tackle. So it's such a different perspective on that. And for me, it's so big, like, learning to turn it off, because you come home, it's like, man, I missed that block or had this happen, and they don't care at all. Like, they just want to play. You're their dad to them, and that makes it so special. But it's such a different dynamic, and it adds a whole new perspective to your life.
Yeah, I would just say, same as Jordan, like, my dad wasn't around, and he had a whole other family 5 minutes down the road. And my biggest thought was always, like, as a parent, give them everything that you didn't have. But I realized what I just didn't have was a present dad. Just being there, listening, being just immersed in your, in your family, and you try to put the phones down. You try to just spend quality time with your family, kids, your wife, everybody. Like, you gotta really go and make an effort. And, like, what we're all saying, you gotta figure out a way to leave work at work. And so when I get home, I sit in my car for a second and just, like, decompress. And a big way of how I, like, kind of keep myself calm is I change the music I listen to. I don't really listen to rap anymore. I drive here, listen to Sade. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's just really trying to, like, keep your mindset clear. And then when I go home, trying to give my all to my kids, and just, and some days you don't get home till 7, but for that hour and a half that they're awake, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta go and be around. And it's just, sometimes, this football stuff, you realize, you're really not around for much. And so the off season is really where you, like, take, you take that step up as a dad, and it's like, all right, it's me and the kids, like, running around. And I always feel like it's easier once your kids get out of car seats, because it's a lot trying to move car seats around. But, like, once you have, once they're in boosters and you can switch them from car to car, be like, all right, hey, let's go. You with me for today. You know what I mean? It's just trying to, just be there and not, like, be a role model. Just be around and show them how you operate, and just, and, like, pour into them. Because, I'm real big on like, all my kids, being able to talk to us. Like, y'all know I like to talk. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like, I want my kids to be able to tell me anything. And, it's, you're dealing with, diapers, periods. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because, my age range is all over the place. You know what I mean? So it's just, you just want, like, you've made it as a dad when your kids feel like they can just pour into you and talk to you about anything that's going on. And it's just like, I love my people. Like, I love my tribe, and it's just all, like, anything. I'm always just like, anything I can do to help you, I will. And it's just, like that's why, I always say like football's not the most important thing, because when you have a family, like they are the most important thing. And, obviously football was a lot of our first loves and, we're doing all that. But then, that love you have for your family is different. There is a thing, it's like love at first sight. It's when your kid is born. You know what I mean? Like that instant, like the baby comes out, and it's just like, the tears start flowing. Yeah. And you're just like, cry. Man, like that's love at first sight. And that's what I really truly think they mean when they say, you can fall in love with somebody at first sight. It's when your kids are born. You know what I mean? I think it's a truly special thing that why would you miss it? And like the craziest part too is when you have kids, you realize you lose respect for anyone that's not there in their kid's life. Because it's like, why would you miss something so precious?
Man, that's real. Yeah. What I heard from each of you guys is availability, right? Being present. But something that also stood out to me is ensuring that something that Q said, he talked about how he wants to make sure that they realize that I love them more than I love ball, right? And how do you demonstrate that? And we know how much like this game takes away from us. Like we sacrifice so much, and a lot of that are the times you talked about how your kid's away. First day of 8th grade. Like maybe there are guys that we know that might not be able to make it to that delivery room because of responsibilities here. So like, how do you guys ensure that presence is felt? And maybe it's not done in the traditional manner because of what this job demands, but it works in your family dynamic, for your kids and your wife to know like, man, this is dad being available. This is dad pouring everything into you guys.
I would say, because you hit it on the head. Like, there's nothing traditional about the way we go about things in the NFL players, just an athlete's life. But I think, like you said, like the number one currency, like I said, like, and the thing that's the most valuable in this world that, again, even it's more valuable than money, is time. So, like I said, just no matter what, if it's, like I said, an hour, 30 minutes, just giving your time. That's the most important thing you can do. And like I said, like the number one currency, because like I said, if I give somebody my time, that means I really appreciate you and value you, because again, the time I'm giving, whether it's 5 minutes or an hour, I'll never get it back. You'll never get it back. So it's like I say, giving your time and just being there in any capacity, whatever it is, whatever, like I said, your day, especially our day-to-day gives, like I said, it's the most important thing. Like I said, I get home, my wife, I'm like, man, I'm tired, body hurts. I'm like, hey, baby, what is it? Just talk, let's talk. Or she want to watch a show. I know I'm tired, I can barely stay awake. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this hour to watch this show. My son come up to me like, hey, Dad, can we play toys 5 minutes? Shoot, I'm tired. I know I really don't want to, but if it's going to make your day for me giving you this 5 minutes, I'm going to give you this 5 minutes.
That's it, man.
My daughters want to talk to me about like preppy style or like the new lip gloss that came out. I really don't care, but I'm like, but I'm going to act like I care because that's what you care about. Yeah. It's just giving that time.
It's like good. It's like really like, I always say this, it's like getting on the ground and playing with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's like, that like obviously time everyone knows, like, because we don't have much.
Yeah.
But, it's when you get on the ground and, my son, like Joseph, my son's like, I'm going to tackle you when I get home. I'm like, damn. Yeah, man. Yeah, we can do this, but it's gonna hurt. Like, I'm gonna tackle you, but then also my daughter's like, play with my Barbies with it. Yeah, I'm gonna it's getting on the ground and getting dirty with them and playing with them, and it's just really just that's the main way we can. Like, you can buy your kids whatever the hell you want to, but that doesn't matter. What they want to do is you can keep buying them all this stuff over and over and over again. They still gonna keep asking to spend time with you. And I think with a kid, that's the number one way to show them you care. And I remember it was one time I was sitting outside waiting for my dad to come. And I was sitting on the stoop or whatever, and he never showed up. And all I wanted was his time. And that stuck with me because I'm like, I'm never going to my kids will never feel like that. Yeah. My kids will always know Dad was there. Dad loved me. Dad shows up to everything he can. Like, when we get this time off, I'm going to my daughter's softball game. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause it's like any chance I get, you know, I'm gonna go be dad. On Mondays after practice, I go to my Mondays after work. I go to my son and my daughter's soccer practice. You know what I mean? Like any chance I can to be around, like I will.
Yeah.
How many times you buy your kids a new toy or something,
and
they play with the box?
They play with the box,
right? They don't care about the toy. Man, what are we talking about, right? But that's it, man. I try to be intentional. We all try to be intentional. And just what your kids want to do, right? They'll tell you what they want to do, how they want to play, right? It's taking 5-10 minutes out your day to do it. I know one thing I try to do with my kids is just do the nighttime routine. Like I enjoy the nighttime routine with my kids because who knows what time I get back. Like I might get back, dinner might be done, wifey done held it down and, kids are bathed and it's time for bed, right? And it's like, all right, like ever since my first kid was born, my oldest, it was nighttime routine. Like I got the nights during the season for sure. So, reading, praying together, just talking. Like sometimes I'll just lay in the bed and just talk to them. 5 minutes. How was the day? What you get into? Tell me what happened. Blah blah blah. Right? Just making them feel like I care and having those conversations of intentionality. Yeah,
I'm the same way. Every night we're reading for sure. So we get home and I'll do a few books with the kids. I think Shelby made a great point. Off-season dad is a real thing. Like in the off-season, I feel like I have to double my time because it's like, man, I miss some of these moments. But truly, like when you're a young guy, like off days, like some of these young guys you talk to, they're like, oh, I slept in until 10 or 11. It's like my off days are kids and wife days. We wake up, we enjoy it. Now my oldest is in school, but we used to go to breakfast every off day, and things like that just to enjoy those moments and make those a little bit more special because it's like, hey, I'm working, but I also want to be with you guys. But I think the nighttime routine is huge because no matter what time I get home, I can always be a little bit a part of that.
Like I really think that like what people don't realize is 90% of the time you're going to spend with your kids is before they're age 18. After that, they're gone in school. They're going to have careers. They're going to have their own family. You can't, you can try to fix the wrongs of the past, but more likely, like what you do now is going to stick with them for the rest of their life. And so, move wisely. You know what I mean? Like you can always play that video game after they go to sleep. And that's what I'm a gamer, so I always like have to remember this is like a valuable time for them. I can turn the game on after, and go play. Like it's like you gotta really like intentionally take that time to be with your kids, and just like everyone says, like I feel like reading, doing all that stuff is doing something that you all love to do and doing it together at nighttime is it's a special thing, and so all that other stuff can wait. You know what I mean? It's time. We gotta we gotta be dad.
Yeah.
And I think Joe, what you said is key as well. I mean, because on top of being dad, a lot of times said is being just a good husband. Like you said, we only get 1 day a week off, reality. And like I might have been like my second or third year. Actually, it might have been my second year in the league. I think I hit Mike B. I was like, hey, bro, like you trying to get a jump on, some pass rush stuff. It was like on a Tuesday. And, I came to the league with a family, and he told me, he said, bro, don't ever hit me on a Tuesday. He said, don't you got a wife? He said, spend some time with your wife on a Tuesday. And that hit me. I was like, dang.
It's good advice, man.
It's good advice. I mean, you got 1 day a week. It's like, man, just like Tuesday, don't ask me about what's the run for the week, what are the pass rush plan. Like Tuesday, like get that to your wife. Take her to breakfast. Just because that's the only day we get. So it's like, that's a day like, hey, if I can just take 1 day to set football aside and just pour into you, this is the day. Whatever you want to do, whether we just go to a museum or something, but just, like I said, taking that time just to be, like I said, a good husband, because sometimes that's get lost in the wash with kids. You still have a spouse you made a commitment to, and you got to, like I said, be intentional, because I said we only got a lot amount of time, and like I said, take that day to really to just be with your partner and give them that same, again, attention as well, because we all know your wife happy, meals cooked, house clean, everything running well. The wife not happy, don't none operate.
Shout out to the wives.
Yeah, shout out to the wives.
Isn't that crazy though? Like it really it gets lost in everything. That like when you have kids, a lot of people, their marriages will struggle because you're putting all your time into your kids and you're not pouring back into your spouse.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think it's something that that we all can get better at. You know what I mean. Obviously, but it's it's something that's so you need to be intentional about.
Yeah, I think part of that, right? Like your kids, if you and your wife aren't doing well, right? Your kids feel that, right? So like the whole house runs better when when wife, you and the wife's relationship is on the right path, right? So like, I think that's got to be priority. Obviously, we're talking this conversation about kids, but like that's the priority, and everything falls in line under that. You know what I mean?
I had to check myself recently. This is a new world for me, but I have a daughter, and I found myself, she's only 12 weeks old, but something I was doing on a consistent basis in the morning, like she wakes up, I'm like, "Good morning, gorgeous," right? And like I saw like a couple days went into it, my wife's looking at me like,
You're not gonna say nothing.
"You ain't gonna say, what about me? You ain't like, you don't say that to me every morning." So I had to check myself. That was a moment in time where I said, okay, like, wow, like I need to, like, this level of love, right, that obviously I've given to my wife, but it's now done in a different manner when it comes to my daughter. I have to make sure I reciprocate in that same way. And so one thing that I've like started to do is be intentional about, man, just saying thank you just at the end of the day, right? Knowing like I've been away for so long, whether it's workouts or now into the season mode, just like, man, thank you for, man, like taking care of our daughter, like making sure she had everything because she's doing so much, and just holding it down.
Yeah.
And just like those words alone, man, just means so much. But yeah, it's everything. It's definitely out. And something that I know I've heard you mention a lot, Q, is, speaking about, a significant other and letting guys know, man, that's probably one of the more important decisions that you'll ever make is who you choose, in life, like your partner.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's the most important decision you can ever make. I mean, there's a reason why we all said we can come up here and operate the way we do is because we all made great decisions when it comes to our partners. I can go to practice and go to camp and literally lock in, just focus on the task at hand because I know back home everything's taken care of.
Yeah.
She didn't move the house, unpack the house, really moved like 2-3 houses. Like I said, she's in Seattle right now, setting up our house in Seattle, making sure my daughter and everything's taken care of.
Yeah.
First day of school. On top of still making sure, tapping in with my parents and making sure stuff's good here while I'm at work. I literally don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah,
and
at peace.
I mean, you're at peace, and that's a blessing. So it's like, how can I not, again, on the other hand, like I said, just show my appreciation, whether it's just saying thank you, whether it's send her some flowers. It's the little gestures, just telling them, again, because it is a thankless job. We get pats on the back, you get great job, you got to get tweets, you get paid, they get nothing. In reality, and so it's just making them realize like what you're doing is important because again, without our wives, like again, none of this is possible.
Amen.
I can't go out there and play free. So it's like just like you said, just let them know like thank you.
You gotta show them love because they can lose their identity.
Yeah.
Just like it's the routine. Okay, kids. You gotta pour into them so that they remember who they are, and so they don't forget who they are. You know what I mean? And it's just, like obviously you said this is about fatherhood, but like fatherhood, part of that is, your wife. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like your wife or your spouse, you know what I mean? It's just, pouring into them. And that's kind of where I struggle sometimes because, y'all know I like to talk trash all the time. And I got to turn that off for like a little bit where I go home. Yeah. And you know what I mean? I be in that mode, like, and I be like, and then I'll let she look at me, I'm like, oh my bad, like you know what I mean? Like yeah, I'm like, let me chill out. That's on me. But you know what I mean? It's just we be so on edge, not on edge, but you know what I mean? Like we be so just running crazy in our mind over here at work that like, you realize like you gotta soften up when you go home, and you gotta. You really gotta make an effort to be a different person. Like when you go home and turn off the little like that football, that's what kind of keeps us in this. It keeps us still going.
I was gonna say just for everybody a question, like is there anything that like I think you alluded to, like you said, you take time in the car. Is there any tricks that y'all do, I guess, to like, because almost you have to flip a switch because like what we do by nature, like especially while we're in the trench, you got to put your hands on a man and strike a man. Like you got to be in a different frame of mind. So is it like, I guess there's any tricks that y'all do to flip a switch when you get home?
To me, it's the drive home. Like I got like a 25-minute drive, so that calms me down. And then really just stay away from the phone, because like the social media and stuff, that's where you see everything and like the stuff. So me, like if I put my phone down, which it's always a struggle. Like sometimes you have your phone and you're just like, oh, I can check this real quick. But if I get that, then really football's out of it, because no one's texting you about things. You're not seeing things on social media. So it's a drive home and just like keep my phone away, because then what's happening is happening in the house. You know, I don't see any of that other outside news or anything like that.
I'll get my wife will call me on the way home, and I'm like, yo, I need this time. Like I'll talk to you when I get to the house, right? Like 20 minutes that I got right here is sacred for this moment of when I get home, right? So like just clearing mind, that's it. Clearing mind when you get in the car.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got like a 25-minute drive home, and it's either no music or, to, Shell's point, it's something very, mellow, soothing to the mind. And then, when I get home, I can be, all the way present. But I do, me and my wife really enjoy that time of like dinner time is like our time to like just talk about the day, talk about our feelings, what's going on, where we kind of disconnect from everything. Like that hour and that like is precious. So
man, I remember like when me and my wife were like when we were young, going on dates and stuff. And I remember my biggest rule always, like when I was going on like dates with women, was if they whip out their phone during a date, I won't be with them because it's like it means you can't talk. Yeah. And I kind of still have that same mindset even when we're at dinner, like or even when we're like eating as a family, like no phones, put the phones down, and this is where we're supposed to talk. You know what I mean? We remember all the TV shows at the dinner table, and this is where you're finding out all the tea, all the stuff. But then also like when I come in the house, I just try to be as happy. Hey, what's going on? Like you know what I mean? Like just like kind of like you trying to trick yourself too, because everybody everyone has tough days at work. Everyone everyone has these long days at work where it's just like, man, I just want. And so it's like one trying to find a way not to bring it home. Yeah, you know what I mean. And I realized back in the day, like that's why I'm like I'm harping on the music thing. Music will really like mess your mind up when you go like when you listen to aggressive music, you're not going to be able to calm down. You know what I mean? Like,
what question I have for you guys, like what are some either like childhood traditions that you guys have like stuck with that now you've implemented into your own family dynamic, or maybe you've created new traditions of your own?
Man, I didn't have any really childhood traditions. It was just kind of just trying to make it. You know what I mean? Just trying to get by. And like the thing is though, like my grandma just used to, when we were playing, I remember like she would just used to sit out there, and like it wasn't phones really or anything like that. So she was just like chilling. Like she'd be doing her crossword puzzles and rest her soul. But it was just like I'm gonna let you play, but just know I'm here. And it's kind of like the kind of the same thing. It's just like just being around, just being present, I guess, is the one thing. Because I would just say like I look at when I think of parenting, and it's not like it's grandparent. Like my grandma was really like my heart. You know what I mean? So if I could just be her, you know what I mean? Like it's like it's discipline, but there's love behind it. And I always say whenever I have to discipline my kids, I always make sure like we sit down and we talk after. Like, do you know why? Like, do you know why you just got on punishment? Do you know why what just happened? And when we talk and we go through it. So because discipline, like, discipline or anything without, any explanation is kind of cruel. Yeah. You gotta really like, they're growing, and and this is another way you teach them about their feelings and communication, because then after it, you gotta just, talk to them about why. Because so that they don't think, oh, daddy's just being mean. Yeah. Mama's just being mean. No, there's a reason. I'm trying to raise you to be the best you can be.
I think tradition-wise, just a family dinner. Like, I think my family did a good. I mean, when you have sports and stuff, it's different. Like, everybody's traveling. But when we're at home together, like, everybody sits at the table. We eat dinner. We talk. You know what I mean? It's our time, like kind of you said, like that hour where you have nothing to worry about. It's probably like 10 minutes with our kids now. But you know what I mean? Like, we try and be together. We try and be present in that moment. And my family did that when I was a kid too, unless we were, traveling for sports or whatever. Yeah,
the same. I mean, I didn't have a ton of family traditions growing up, but same thing. Like dinner time is sacred time. We read together every night, like I said. We pray together every night. I think just having, whether it's 5-10 minutes of just that routine every single night. Right, there's nights, if we don't read, if like the book's not out, and there's like been no talk and no initiation of, hey, we're gonna read. It's like, Dad, are we reading? You know what I mean? Like, are we? They know what to expect, right? Yeah. And so, and if anything's out of whack, they pick up on it. So, yeah, just those little moments, man. Yeah.
Dang, traditions. It's a hard one. I don't know per se any like traditions. But I mean, I said I had a great dad, and like I said, I know they worked weird hours, but again, like I said, the time he gave it to me. So I really just try to be like him. None of our parents are perfect; they have faults. You try to build on those, but literally, I was like I said, I just try to be like him and just be, like I said, just be there. I think that's a recurring thing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's important. Like, whether you had traditions of your own as a child that you now carried over into your own, or you started new ones. Shelb, I think you started something in your family, right? Like, put down the phones. Like, that's something that now this is a era that we live in, right? That your kids are going to remember forever. Like, this is a time for us to like be a family and to indulge in one another and build. And so, I just salute all y'all. We're going to kind of switch topics a little bit. This is our segment. We coming to the end where I, ask you guys about like that dog moment. If you just think about like one moment in your life where you had to, channel that inner dog in an adverse situation, what would it be? We know our journey hasn't been an easy road. And, for a lot of people, I think they can gain something from a 1%er like ourselves, being able to reach the mountaintop and knowing that it wasn't perfect, but we still are here and we've overcome, probably a lot more than people know.
I'll start off. Mine's pretty fresh. Mine was last year, it might have been week 10, week 9, week 10. I am going in for a routine tackle, and my leg whips around and hits one of my teammates in the knee, right in my shin. So I got a foot-long scar right on my shin. Story goes, I had compartment syndrome. It's where blood swells up, and in this area it doesn't have anywhere to go, so it just continues to swell. Well, people lose their legs over it, amputees, all these different things, right? You can get drop foot, you can get infections, all these different things. Yeah, it was crazy. So it happened 5th play of the game. I ended up playing all the way till the first drive of the third quarter, second half. And by the time I came out, I had no flexion in my foot. It was completely drop foot. I had drop foot. I go in the training room, obviously, trainers are monitoring it, and take off my pads, boom, whatever, sit down. Like I said, like I had no movement in it, but the pressure in there was by far the worst pain I've ever been in. Felt like my leg was about to explode. Begging for pain pills, begging for anything that they can give me. They were like, bro, you're tapped out. Like, we can't give you nothing. Like, we've given you everything we can. I'm laying on the table for about 30 minutes, game ends, and just excruciating. I'm twisting, turning, trying to get comfortable. There's nothing that can make it go away. They throw me in the back of a ambulance and rush me to the hospital. They give me, IV different drips and all these different things. Nothing is taking the pain away. Like, whatever the ambulance had, the medical grade stuff, was crazy. Didn't take it away. They had emergency surgery, slit me open. Like I said, I got a scar about that big right here on my shin, just to relieve the pressure. Right? They had to cut it open, relieve the pressure. Boom. They said if we would have waited, less than an hour later, I probably could have had permanent damage. Crazy. They had to leave it open for 4 days. Split wide open for 4 days. I'm on an IV drip of antibiotics for the infections and stuff. And I was back playing in 4 weeks. Played the last 3 games. Played the last 3 games. So like, you know, to tie it back into kind of this topic, bro, like as I'm going, like I didn't, you know, I woke up from surgery and didn't realize how severe it was until they told me. Had never heard of compartment syndrome in my life. And, you know, the doc was like, dude, like you're blessed. You're lucky. You have every doctor you needed right here in front of you. And, you know, as I'm going through this process and laying in the hospital bed with my legs split wide open, you know, for 3 days, all I'm thinking about is what am I going to be remembered? How is this moment going to be remembered by my kids, right? By my family, by those that love me, right? How am I going to impact others through this situation? And like being a father, being a parent changes. Like if I didn't have kids, like who knows? Like it would have been my own internal like motivation to try and get back and like who knows? Like I don't know. But being a dad and being like my kids are going to see this one day and remember this moment one day and see how their dad overcame, you know, almost losing his leg. And then 4 weeks later was back there on the field dogging it out, right? Just going crazy, right? That's the motivation, right, that being a dad can give you.
That's real. That's real stuff. Early in my career, I played my whole rookie year, but then my second and third year, I had like a bunch of high ankle sprains. I had a Liz Frank that I have surgery on. And going into my fourth year, I got an MCL in training camp, and I was like, in my head, I'm just like, am I injury prone? Like, I've never been injured in my life, and I just keep getting these things. So I just had this like mindset reset where I was like, I haven't had any control of these. Like, I've gotten rolled up 3 times to get high ankle sprains. Like, I got stepped on to get my Liz Frank, and I got rolled up again to get an MCL. And so it was this mindset shift of like, you can only control what you can control. Like, I can't go out there every day worrying about being hurt or injury prone. Like I just had to play my mind. And I don't know if it actually helped or not, but just like flipping my mindset to being like, hey, you've done everything you can, like control what you can control. Then I went, you know, and I had a nice stretch of games where I didn't get hurt for, 6-7 years. But it was just one of those quick little mindset shifts where it was like, I was feeling sorry for myself. I kept saying like, why is this happening to me? Like, I don't deserve this. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, hey, you get what you're given, but like you can control what you can control. And that was kind of just that switch in mindset. And it really helped me, get through the early part of my career being kind of injured and having those things that, I didn't want to go through.
Yeah. I would say mine would be my third year. Well, like in total, I've been cut like 7-8 times in my career. My third year, I wasn't on a team for 15 of the 17 weeks. Like I was just at home training. I had like 7-8 workouts. I remember I had a workout with the Chargers. This is when they were in San Diego. Mike McCoy was head coach. And it's crazy because he was the OC in Denver the next year when I made the team and everything. But I just remember, I have asthma, and so I had like a respiratory infection. And so I went down there, and I'm like dying, and like thinking I'm out of shape. I'm like, I just can't breathe. You know what I mean? And I just, I remember I called my wife after, and this was like the 6th or 7th workout. And I'm just like, dude, I'm done. Like, I just can't keep doing this. Like, I'm never gonna get a chance. Like, this is, it's BS. Like, I know I can play, but I'm just not, I'm not getting a fair shake, I feel like. And she's just like, you're not a quitter. I'm telling you, if it was not for my support system, I would not be here today. She's like, you're not a quitter. Yes, you're disappointed, but we're back at it tomorrow. You know what I mean? And then, so it was just, and I remember I was like, I don't want to hear this right now. I was like, I don't want to hear this right now. But, then the next week I had to work out with the Titans, and it didn't work out. But then I get to the airport, and then the Cowboys call. And I went to practice squad there for 3-4 weeks, and then the next year I signed with Denver, outside of Futures with Denver, and I was there for 5 years. You know what I mean? So like, it was just a moment where like, I truly have like the best support system I could possibly have. Not just I'm talking about my wife. Like that was a moment where like I just thought I was done. I'm just like, man, like, you catch yourself like watching the games, and I feel awful saying this, but hoping someone gets hurt because you want your shot. You know what I mean? Like it's just like and I hated feeling like that. You know what I mean? Like you're like, damn, like I really, because the only way you're getting there, because it's not the old IR, like where you can bring somebody off. It's not the new IR where you can bring somebody off. It's the old one where somebody has to be out for the season.
Correct.
And so, and then I caught myself really hoping that, because you have these certain teams like, oh, if one thing happens, you're there. And you just, you feel yourself like really, and that's why I'm like, damn, am I wishing bad on people? You know what I mean? And I was like, until, so then my wife, like, if it wasn't for my wife just being like, you are good enough. You are this, because I was in a deep, dark hole. And that's the thing that football can kind of do to people. It can, it makes your worth only so much. Your worth is only football. And so it was, and then I remember I couldn't even watch football. That whole year, I was like, I don't turn this off. I don't want to see none of this. Like, but if that was a deep, dark time, getting just rejected over and over and over again. And then my first 2 years is getting cut over and over and over again, and just not, and then that's why I say it's truly a blessing to be here, because 11 years later, well, technically really 10 years later, but 11 seasons later, we're still here. And so, it was just, that was a crappy time, but it actually also like, makes your real character have to come out. And the people around you, real character. And that's why I always say, like, I'm lucky I'm married to a real one. You know what I mean? Someone who, she had my back when, we didn't have much money to pay the bill. Like, she was working. You go focus on doing what you need to do to get back to doing what you love. You know what I mean? So that was probably.
I think you hit it on the head too, because it is like those dark dog moments. It is great to have a great support system, and I know that kind of separates guys, who don't make it through those dark times and do. Having great people around you, and it just helps with your mental. Because just when I think about my, I guess, dog moment, I had a couple, but the one that sticks out, I'm in college. I'm going into my junior year. I have 3 kids. We in a 1-bedroom with a den. I have torn ACL. My wife working like 4 jobs. And I'm like, I got to make something shake. I'm sick and tired of seeing her, running around like a chicken with her head cut off. She, like I said, working like 4 or 5 jobs, working our kids' daycare so we can get vouchers for the daycare, and I'm sitting up here like a useless sack of potatoes, ACL torn, and I'm just like, man, like, I was like, I got to make something happen. What it is, like I said, kids are hungry. They don't care about the circumstances. They don't care about, a torn ACL. Like, they want food, and I was just, like I said, just blessed again to have a great woman who's busting her tail off, said breathing life into me, goddamn hand bathing me. You take your ACL, she bathing me, making sure I'm good, helping lift me up, helping me. We lived in an apartment that had a nice set of flight of stairs. She helped me up the flight of stairs. My parents would come in every now and then, checking on me, like I said, breathing life into me. And, everything turned out good, but just I know in that moment, I'm just like, man, like, I gotta make something happen, like I said. But just like I said, it all comes down, like I said, just surround yourself with great people, whether it's great wife, great family members, great friends, just it helps, as an athlete, because it's a mentally draining sport and there's a lot going to it, a lot of pressure, perform, and just having good people can make a little lighter,
Man, well, I salute each and every one of you guys, man, for pushing through. Remembering who each of you are. And sometimes, to Jordan's point, man, what we go through is not necessarily meant for us, but meant for somebody else's view, to be able to see how you respond. And I think you guys have all responded, obviously, the right way, and being able to persevere and allow you to sit here today. So, man, this was a dope conversation, bruh. I appreciate you guys for really being champions of fatherhood, recognizing your calling, embracing and accepting your role, and really, man, standing on business, standing on character, like where this world, nowadays values everything else but that. And so it's good to be amongst a good group of real men And so I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
That was it for today's show. We released the Dogs, and until next time, it's OG Rod, and I'll holla at y'all.